Thus is his cheek the map of days outworn, when beauty lived and died as flowers do now. Before these bastard signs of fair were born, or durst inhabit in a living brow, before the golden tresses of the dead, the right of sepulchres were shorn away, to live a second life on second head, ere beauty's dead fleece made another gay. In him those holy antique hours are seen, without all ornament itself and true, making no summer of another's green, robbing no old to dress his beauty new. And him, as for a map doth nature store, to show false art what beauty was of yore. Sonnet 67. 68? 68. Sonnet 68. This one is awesome. This is one of my favorites ever, I think. And I wonder if that's because I actually started working on this yesterday. I usually do this in like one sitting. I'll usually like pull up the sonnet, read it, write down a little bit of stuff, and then try to memorize it, and then just go in one sitting. And I started looking at this yesterday. Read the sonnet, wrote some stuff down, read through it a few, like, tried to get the words in my head, and then I put it down, went on my day, and then I came back to it this morning. And I wonder if that's contributing to the appreciation that I have for it, but it's just such a fantastic, the language is so fantastic. And I really think it's an important and interesting message. And it's, when you dig into the history a little bit, it's actually even more compelling because, similar to the last sonnet, similar to Sonnet 67, Shakespeare's kind of condemning cosmetics, makeup, in contrast to what true beauty is, right? Which, in the historical context, is really ballsy because the Queen Elizabeth, at the end of her reign, I mean, as you proceed further into your reign, and you get older, that was a huge thing at that time to have just makeup galore, like all the the white makeup all on the face and everything, and it's very like the wigs and everything. It was all very artificial and fake, and it was interesting because I kind of think about today as kind of the worst it's ever been for that, with like plastic surgery and body image stuff, and the message that society is trying to push on, I mean, primarily women, but it's the emphasis on artificial, superficial beauty is really bad today. It's not good. But we also weren't great that long ago either, So it was I don't know, at least on the face of it, it was, the class divide, maybe, if you look at, like, if you take a snapshot at, like, Britain in the late 1500s, early 1600s, the class divide was really big. Like, if you were nobility or rich or royalty, you had makeup, but, there were lots of other people that weren't royalty, that weren't rich, that didn't have access to that kind of stuff. But that's true. I mean, I guess that's true today, too. But I feel like today, there's, like, such a readier access to some level of cosmetics, and I mean, we all do it, right? Like, we style our hair, we do all this stuff to try to appear a certain way. And in the last sonnet, Shakespeare kind of 67, he was speaking to the deception behind all that, and that it's like a sinister thing to try to deceive someone by trying to look different than how you actually do, which is a really, I think, the underlying message there of like, real beauty is truthful beauty. Like, a sunset is beautiful, and it's not tricking you or anything. It's just beautiful. It's what's there, and it's beautiful. And I think it's true that when you really love someone, when you really care about someone, and you can just see them for who they are, you can see real beauty. You can see true beauty. Seeing someone you love doing something, being in their element, doing something that they're great at, is beautiful. Like, as opposed to, trying to modify the way you look to look like not even another real beautiful thing, but just this construct that we've made that someone has said, well, this is beautiful, you should look like this, even though it doesn't exist. Yeah, that whole idea was really interesting to think about. And then put in the context of the sonnets, I was, was looking into like, yeah, this is kind of a middle finger to Queen Elizabeth. But we don't know a lot about the sonnets in terms of when they were written, in terms of the motivation behind the writing. Shakespeare, there's not a lot, I haven't been able to find a lot of Shakespeare on the record talking about writing the sonnets. So, were these sonnets written before Queen Elizabeth died? Because she died around, within a few years of when the sonnets were first published. I think the sonnets were published after she died. Maybe he wrote it after. Maybe he was too afraid to write it before. And it makes me wonder, like, how much of it was a personal criticism, how much of it was a philosophical criticism. It didn't necessarily matter that she was the monarch, but what it all represents. Yeah, it was very interesting because, another historical element with Shakespeare, he was very, he got opportunity. He rose to fame because of kind of kissing ass with the royalty. Like, all the histories were written specifically to try to appease people and not rock the boat. There's a lot of Shakespeare's writing that is kiss ass. So, but that's not true for everything. This sonnet isn't the only example of him kind of giving the middle finger to someone. But it was very interesting that it was almost like it's got tinges of like personal attack against Queen Elizabeth specifically because she was late in life. She needed a lot of makeup because she was older. Needed a lot of makeup. Like that was the choice at that time, right? That the Queen needed to appear a certain way, and it was very heavily made up. So yeah, really interesting. It's I can't help but think that he really did give a shit about that. I get the sense that Shakespeare's really talking in this sonnet because the way it comes out, it's just so natural. It's not forced. Is I guess what I'm trying to say is that everything flowed so naturally, like thought to thought, that it just kind of. Do you ever have that natural argument where you just kind of build up steam and you start talking about something, you get worked up, and it just all comes out, and that really exists in the writing in this side. You just naturally kind of end up like, oh, I wish things were better then. It sucks now. And yeah, that was 500 years ago. So, yeah, 400 years ago. So it's like things haven't changed that much, sadly. But it was very interesting avenue to go down thinking about the sonnet and memorizing it. Yeah. So yeah, that was sonnet 68. I think it's 68. I'm gonna get this wrong. 68 was this week. 67 was last week. I think they're a linked pair. But yeah, that was sonnet 68. It's almost the end. It's like the beginning. It's like the middle of January. So I think I'm gonna do one more sonnet and then I'm gonna do something from a comedy of errors. So yeah, thank you for watching.